Alrighty, so this is Bill Guyman with Crazy Bill TV. Today, just figuring out YouTube Live, trying a different channel of things. Always the guy filming. You'll always see me sometimes with the GoPro in my hand, or where else do I have? Or I'll have my phone. Sometimes I'll have my phone too. I'll always be filming with my phone like this. So, or like actually like this. Um, yeah, it's Crazy Bill TV. So if you ever see me out at I usually like to go to whitewater festivals. Um, Ironically, I actually started rock climbing. Actually, let's back it up. When I was 15, I got into a program that was called Royal Rangers, kind of like Boy Scouts. And from there, I learned how to backpack. I went backpacking in Red River Gorge, where Miguel's Pizza is. Some people knows what Miguel's Pizza is or whatever. So yeah, I started doing that a bunch, and then went backpacking, went caving, went rappelling, which was at Half Moon Arch, which is near Chimney Tops in Red River Gorge, and then from there, did a bunch of caving also down in Kentucky, down in, I did Sloan Valley. The maps are as huge as a kitchen table. It's awesome. At the deepest point, there's what's called the Great Room that's like 256 feet long by like 300 feet wide by like 90 foot tall. We took like a 1,000,000 candle watt light with us. It was pretty awesome, actually. So that's how I got into the outdoors, was through that. And then from rappelling, I got into rock climbing. And then that's how I got into Red River Gorge. And then rock climbing took me from southeast Kentucky, which is where Red River Gorge is, southeast of Lexington. And I went to, I started going out west. I went to Moab, Utah. I went to Zion. I did Moonlight Buttress. Um, Zion's super cool. It's kind of where the guy that owns A5 Portaledge, John, what's his name? John Mittendorf. Darren, what's funny is now that I'm in whitewater boating, Darren Vance, who owns Creature Craft's brother-in-law, actually worked for John Mittendorf. They call him Ducey, I guess. Now the company's called D4 and they make portaledges. So, yep. So that's how I got into climbing, and then I went out west. Like I said, my first big wall was Zion. I did Moonlight Buttress. It goes free now at like 13A or 13B or hard 12 plus according to the traddies. But yeah, that's Crazy Bill TV's story. Just it's how I got into it, was through rock climbing, through a boys program through the church I attended, and then from there I just kept doing more and more and more and more stuff. So eventually with rock climbing, like I said, I went out west. I got to do Zion. And then we went to Vitavu, which is where all the off-width is. And that was the start of, at one point, meeting Bob Scarpelli. So I had friends that were totally into the off-widthing stuff. Chris O'Dub Hampton, who has a podcast called The Power Company. And he's been doing that for many years now. And that's who I started climbing with, was him and Ray Ellington. And then Ray's been doing a bunch of bouldering stuff with Kip at the Foxtown stuff. So, but yeah, so I know a lot of people have been around for a while, showing my age. So, but yeah, I got into climbing, and then from climbing, I moved out west. Climbing's what took me to Moab, because I loved Indian Creek and all the trad climbing and all the tower climbing. I got to do lots of cool towers. A good friend of mine hooked up with a local named Mr. Mealy. He plays in Stonefed. If you're ever in Moab and you're ever in town for, say, Jeep Safari or whatever, go to Woody's. They'll usually be playing, although I don't know if this Rona COVID stuff's going to be over with by then or what. So I think they might do outdoor stuff, venue stuff now. But yeah, Stonefed is a pretty cool band. Got to meet all those guys. And of course, most of those guys are climbers or outdoors. You got to be an outdoors if you live in Moab, Utah. So yeah, so got into climbing, and then climbing took me out west, which I moved to Moab. And then from once moving to Moab, then the Moab River or the Colorado River runs right through Moab. So once I went for climbing, but you turn into a boater. You just have to because like June, July, and August, and Moab's like 110 degrees, and the only thing to do is get on the river. The river is the only thing to get onto. So from getting on the river, just did a bunch of Moab daily runs. It's like a 12 or 14 mile stretch. It's out there by Castleton Towers. If anybody knows where Castleton Towers is, a beautiful area, super beautiful. And yeah, I used to do the Moab Daily a bunch, and then also did Westwater. Also got the chance to go do Cataract Canyon 3 or 4 times. Did it in like a little 12-foot round boat. Be like, that's crazy, but it was low water. So I rented a boat. This was before I bought a boat, kind of deciding what I wanted to do. Also probably before I bought a creature craft. So yeah, I ran Cataract Canyon like 3 or 4 times. And then also, I think when I was in Moab, I got the chance to run the Grand Canyon. By living in Moab, I got a roommate that ran the Salt River all the time. He was from Show Low, Arizona. I have a friend from Show Low, Arizona, my friend Jack, and he wasn't able to go on his salt trip. So he's like, me and my best friend Aaron was at the house because I had roommates. And he's like, you guys want to go? And I'm like, hell yeah, I want to go. So we went and we did the salt. We never done it before. And of course, they're all talking. I was like, this thing falls. Oh my God, you're going to die. And so I think we were camped at where we were, Blackjack Campground, or we're right at the border where where you need a permit. It's like a 54-mile section the salt is, and like at mile 25 is where the permit section starts. Well, we're getting ready to go run Rat Trap and a couple other rapids, and Aaron's like, oh my God, because they've been talking, that thing falls, you're all gonna die. Well, we ran Rat Trap fine. The ones that was fun because we had some beginners that were in duckies, which I wouldn't highly recommend. Newbies running pinball in the maze. It's like a 3-mile long rapid in a canyon that's just narrow. And there's this whirlpool. It ain't like big hydraulics. It's nasty whirlpools in there. And it's, I don't know. In the duckies, they swam literally like the first big wave hit, maybe the third one. The last of the 3 people swam, and they were all in the water. Me and Aaron were newbies on a big old cat boat. So I was like, we pulled off, and like I just like, it's like, oh boy, here we go. And so he was rowing and I was swamping, and so somehow we were ahead a little bit, and we saw behind us what happened, and so we eddied out, and I'm just like holding on a rock and holding the boat. Arms and shoulders are burning, and we were able to bag like 2 of the 3 people, so we were able to get them out of the water fairly quick, and wasn't so bad. But one person swam for a while. He went under and was under for like, I don't know, 20-30 seconds, and then popped up and was like 500 feet downriver. So yeah, it was a crazy experience. Crazy Bill TV. So it was awesome. But then once you get through all of that, because it's a corridor, right? It's a canyon, and you camp right at the end of it. It's called Blackjack Campground. And you get to look what you just boated up, like a mile upriver. It's all this rock, beautiful canyon or whatever. So we camped there for the night. So like I said, I was swamping for Aaron, and Aaron felt comfortable with me on the boat. So the next morning, our friend TK come up to me. He's like, hey, you want to run a ducky? He's like, those guys, they're not feeling the love after yesterday. And I was like, yeah, I'd love to run a ducky. I go, but Aaron ain't going to like it. And he's like, are you kidding me? I'm like, trust me, have this conversation a little later. And he will be like, no, Bill's on my boat. So sure enough, we had like a team meeting at the camp. And he's like, hey, Bill's wanting to run a ducky, and we're going to roll up those other 2. And those guys are going to ride with you, Aaron, and Bill's going to run a ducky. He's like, no, Bill's on my boat. So so I ran in a ducky, and it was Quartzsite Falls is right after Blackjack. You run Quartzsite, and then you run Corkscrew. They're both class 4 plus. Quartzsite was actually, there's a story behind Quartzsite. Quartzsite actually was a class 5+ / class 6. It's very deadly and dangerous. It was a double drop, and the last drop was a very super retentive hole. And so rafting companies used to guide it. Well, you had to pull off like, I don't know, 1/8 of a mile up above the rapid, and then had to go either lined your boats or you took all your stuff out and went behind. There was a walkway along that river's edge or in this like corridor of rock to get around the rapid. So it was a real pain in the butt. So someone actually a raft guide, and a couple of his buddies went in there, and he found some people that had explosives, and they blew it out. And it took more than one blowout to blow it out. It's kind of a shame because now with creature crab, you could totally do it with creature crafts. So yeah, so I get in a ducky. We launch that morning, and I'm like, oh, here we go. And I'm not even like 800 feet down the river, and I'm like, bloop, I flip over in like this little class 2 rapid, which probably was a good thing because I was wearing a wetsuit, so it got me wet, got me used to the water because that gets rid of the initial shock or whatever when you're in the water. So from there, I got back, I rolled back up, got in my boat, fairly did a quickly self-rescue. So, and then from there we went, and I did fine. I ran quartzite, hit it. Actually, it flipped me over. I got up on top of my boat, paddle over, roll over, get back in. I'm like, so where's quartzite? I'm like, you just ran it. So next was corkscrew. It's awesome rapid. It's like a class 4, big, like 10, 12 foot hydraulics, because it was like 2,800 CFS, just really huge hydraulics. And it kind of goes up and around and then curves back around or whatever. And there was another guy that was in a ducky, and he was scared to death. He was afraid of water, but he loved doing river trips. I'm like, how does that equate? But anyway, so he went first, and the very first wave, he's like, bloop, out of his boat and just holding on to his ducky, just holding on to the side through these 9 more big waves. I'm like, I'm going to make this. So I just got on my paddle, and I paddled really hard and kept my boat straight and got some momentum. And I just made every one of them, all 9 of them. And they were all clapping like, woohoo, way to go. And I was excited because I never run something that big before in a ducky. So it was super awesome. And that was my Salt River trip. And it was, and then once you get through all the rapids, you stop at Cherry Creek, and Cherry Creek is the bomb. Oh my! If you ever get to do the Salt River, you definitely want to lay over at Cherry Creek. It's right at the end of all the rapids, and then from there it's like 12 miles of flat water. There might be like one class 1 plus or something. There's like 2 spots you kind of got to be a little bit cognitive of, but overall it's very, very easy from that point out. The last 12 or 14 miles is considered flat water, but yeah, and every time I have gone to Cherry Creek, I have always seen what's those orange? They're orange and black, something dragon. They're the orange and black thing. I've seen them every time I went on a trip. It's awesome. Not a hemoglobin or a hemo dragon. I forget what they're called. It's driving me nuts. They're orange and black, and supposedly if they bite you, they can crush a bone. And then their bite's really powerful, but also they have a poisonous thing that can kill you. So you want to see them, but you don't want to get too close. So I got to see one of those because I've been on the Salt like 3 times now. I did it in a big cat boat the first time, like a 16-foot Sotar cat boat. And then the next time I did it in duckies. I did it I think one time I did it as a solo duckyist, and the next time I did it in tandem with someone. So Salt River is it's the only place on a river that has saguaro cactuses on a river in the Southwest, and they're beautiful. They're the U-shaped looking ones that have the arms or whatever. Arms raised in a V. So, yep, those are those. And then from the Salt, that was an awesome trip I got introduced to. And like I said, I got to do a bunch of cool stuff. And then just over time, I want to do crazier and crazy because it's Crazy Bill TV. I want to do crazier stuff. And so I think I even ran Shoshone. I ran Shoshone a bunch. And I also got to run what's that river? It's out of Montrose, north. It's the Gunnison. I ran the Gunnison. Chucker Trail to Pleasure Park. That's an awesome, awesome run. Now, the problem is you got a mile hike in, so you got to do a backpack of some sort, either a Bill's bag. What we found worked good is an old school Boy Scout pack that is like a metal frame and has like a little bottom so that it has a lip, so you can tie a ducky onto that sucker and tie it all on. And then it's a mile hike in, so it sucks. You can pay for horses to take it in, but that's not cheap. So you just got to man up. It ain't that terrible. And then if you're there when sometimes there's commercial people, like during the fly hatch in June or July, I think it happens when like late June, early July. There's companies that go down there and they take fishermen. So they'll hump like 12-foot boats down in there. And sometimes they'll leave like their pump or whatever. So there will be a pump sometimes there, but you still sometimes possibly have to bring your own. So So I've also gotten to do the Gunnison. That's awesome. That's like a 14-mile river trip, and it's every half a mile is just rapid, 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 rapid. And they're all like class 2, 2 plus. Some of them are a 3, and then you get to God. What's the main one? There's a class 4 in there, and it's all pull and drop. Even the big gnarly one, you can pull off on a netty on River Right to see it. It's not zip line. I forget what it's called. It's a class 4, 4 plus. And then once you do that, there's some really cool, like big class 3 plus hydraulics after it. And again, that's the Gunnison. That's Chucker Trail to Pleasure Park. That was a cool run. That's what got me into boating. I just kept doing more and more cool stuff. I kind of like the remote stuff, off the beaten path. Not a real big fan of the crowds. It's like, and then so I always wanted to go do, like I said, I wanted to go do. I saw I wanted to do bigger and better things, so I started hearing about Gore on the Colorado, which is on the upper part, which is put-ins near the town of Kremling. Put-ins like, I don't know, 2-3 miles from Kremling, and it's or like 20 or 30 miles from Silverthorne. If you're coming from Denver or from the other way, you can take that way to get there, or you can take Wilcott exit off of I-70. But yeah, it was awesome up there, and so I always wanted to do it, so I kept putting it in my friend's ear. Hey, let's go do Gore. Let's go do Gore. Let's go do Gore. So out of the blue one day, I get a phone call like, dude, we're going to go do Gore. I'm like, sweet. When are we leaving? He's like, well, it's blah, 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 but there's only one issue. I go, what's that? He's like, you can't go. And I'm like, oh, you're such a great friend. He knew I wouldn't be happy with it. So it was like, so it was crazy. And so I was like, well, I guess I don't get to go. So him and his wife went, and that's his wife actually found Darren's brother Shane online through Mountain Buzz. And so through Mountain Buzz is how they got to go do Gore. And so that was like late May, early June, because that's when it runs, especially high water. I think they were in there at like 2,000 or 3,000 CFS, which is high. Usually it's 900 to 1,200 is raftable or more friendly for the commercials. Commercials do it like below 1,200, because it'd be like 12 to 1,600. Toilet bowl gets really, really, really bad. And so, yeah, so that was that. So I had to wait, and that was like, so then I had to wait till, I think my very first time is when we went to the Loxall. So that's fall. We went to the Loxall. It was like 2006, I think it was, 2008. Might have been 2005. Maybe it was either 2005 or 2006. We went to the Loxall, and I ran the Loxall, did all that, and then I had enough and long drive. And so me and a friend of mine, Danger, we drove back, and then they went to the first time they ever did Tumwater. I think it was 06. It's like 05 or 06 when they went to Tumwater the very, very, very first time. And it was running like 13.5. It was on like Donkey Kong for sure. So, yep. So they went to that. And then from there, Aaron was telling me, he's like, dude, we looked at this stuff, and Darren's like, that's a 5-foot way. And Aaron's like, no, that's like 12 or 15 feet. We're just going to hit that and drive right over it. Yeah, they hit it all right, and they didn't drive right over it. It hit the big road boat, hit it, and put it airborne and dropped it like 10 feet on the backside of it or whatever. So, yeah, it was crazy. Crazy Bill TV. Nuts. So when they did that, then I was like, oh, man, I was all in wanting to go do Tumwater and all that stuff. That was, like I say, in 06. And then from that point, the big buzz for a while was the Stikine. This was before all the traction with the Stikine had happened in 2012. That's why Creature Craft crew, Darren and crew went, was to go run it, to be the first inflatable to run the Stikine. And so it was a big year, actually. The year that they went, the Stikine had only seen like 25 descents or 25 expedition teams ever go in there, and in that 1 year they had 25 teams go in there in 1 year. So like it had multiplied from like, it was like one a year since like 1978 or 80s, and this was like 2012, so you can do the math. So 80 to like 2012 would be 32 years. So yeah, there hadn't even been like 25 teams that had gone in there in a 30-year period, and so now you got like 25 teams all going in there all in the 1 year. So as many as gone in the past had all gone. That's how many were going in. That's how popular it was getting. So that was awesome to see too. That's still on my bucket list. That's still on my goals. Like I said, this is a go live challenge. And so, want to talk about my goals and dreams, as they say. So, I'm an outdoorist. I love to be outdoors. I'm multifaceted. Love to do video. This is why I'm doing this live challenge. I met a few people in my travels. Lots of traveling I've done in my life. So just here recently, I went from I had, they say 8 days a week as the song goes. Well, I had like a 20-day week. So I went from Cincinnati to Raleigh to Seattle, and then I helped a friend move, and I drove them all the way across the country. Yes, with a big old box truck or whatever, a trailer full of raft frames and different things. And so that turned into a 7 or 8 day endeavor, maybe 9 day endeavor by the time I quit driving. So yeah, so I'm used to traveling a little bit. I've traveled a bunch. Also, for what I do for work, I've traveled a bunch. I've gotten to go to I've been to Alaska before I ever went there before. Definitely want to go back to Alaska. So again, like I said, I've gone. My goals are: I want to do the Stikine. I want to do the Triple Crown in the summer. Really, I want to do the Stikine, Grand Canyon, the Stikine. I want to do the Alsek, which is next if you're driving up, and then I want to do the Susitna, which is about 3 or 4 hours. It's in Denali, actually. You go to Anchorage and then you drive up. I think it's Route 8. I forget which road. Whatever the road that takes you into Anchorage, and then you cut off. I think it's on Route 8. That takes you to the Susitna Bridge put in. And it's a 150-mile trip. And then there's Devil's Canyon there, which is like 10 or 11 miles of class 5 plus. There's like 5 very, 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 very distinct rapids. And then, of course, the Alsek is a 3-mile canyon with Turnback Canyon. I've attempted that, gotten halfway through, plan on going back. And then the other one is, like I said, is the Stikine. It's 42 miles. So it's like really more like 21. It's either 21 or 30 miles of where the money is in there. It's like mile 4 to like 34 in there is really where the money is, or mile 6 to like 36, something like that. I have all the topos and all that stuff about it. So yeah, so those are my goals. Another one is I want to go do the Indus. I think the Indus would be super, super cool. I like to do big, crazy, gnarly things, but also I like to do the, mellow, multi-day stuff. Like I said, I've done the Salt 3 times. I would love to actually go back and do that a couple times. That's a very, 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 very enjoyable trip. And it's beautiful, the scenery. Usually you go like the first or second week of April because that's when the runoff is, and it's the perfect temperatures. Like you're just getting out of winter. If you're tired of the cold, it's like 75, 80-degree temps. It's beautiful in there. And like I said, it's awesome. You can see all kinds of stuff in there, and it's action packed too for a river. For someone wanting to do a river, it's awesome. So yep. So another goal is to the West Coast list. I want to go do I was invited to go do the Middle Fork of the Feather, but circumstances didn't work out. I definitely want to do it. And I'm a person, I don't want to do something just once. I want to do it like 5, 10. I want to do it multiple times, at least 5 or 10 times. I'd like to go do this one. Might not get to do as much because of logistics to get in. It is the Middle Fork of the Kings, which is super awesome. If you go higher on the Kings, it's what's called the Teacups. It's called the 7 Teacups. I just seen some friends of mine do that. That's a really cool trip to go do too. So like I said, this is Crazy Bill going live, trying to figure out this live stuff. I haven't even messed with hardly anything. I'm just seeing, giving this a live. Like I said, I'm going to go live every week. I haven't picked a day yet. This is Saturday. So I might do Saturday or might do Sunday evening. I don't know what time is it now, but I'm going to pick a time and try and stay with it. The whole point is I'm going to go live once a week. I'm going to hold myself to it. So maybe talk about different subjects, different things. Again, I love the video. I should be putting out, I have my channel, which you'll see on here, all my videos of all the things I've done. You'll see like, wow, he videos everything. And like I said, I have like 3 hard drives packed full of stuff. I had one get stolen a couple years ago, and it was bad because like it had Cross Mountain at like 19,000 on it. It had all kinds of good stuff, and not just mine, but we had another friend's from an ordeal that his bag got stolen, and it had more Cross Mountain stuff on it too. So lots of cool video, lots of cool stuff. Might start doing some interviews with people, different people, anywhere from the whitewater world, maybe to the climbing world, the outdoor world, and maybe even the business world. So, but yeah, it's funny how like through things I've met people because I know people through people. It's like it's weird, like the whole networking thing. Like you meet someone through someone. Like I met Darren through my best friend's wife, who met Shane, and Shane is Darren's brother, and that's how I met Darren through Creature Craft. So it's always networking and meeting people. So the other big goals I want to do is I want to do a lot more Washington stuff. Love Washington, love Sunset Falls. Tumwater is the bomb, and then all of the Wenatchee River, not just the craziness on Tumwater, but the upper is really awesome too. Like I said, once you do crazy stuff, sometimes just the mellow, serene stuff, just a chill day is awesome too, which I finally got to do that for the first time. And I've been going there for a long, 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 long time. So, alrighty. So I've been jibber jabbering for 26 minutes. See if I can go for 30. I'll shoot for 30 every time, unless I get someone on and I do an interview or stuff like that. I have met some really cool people through the boating world and through the climbing world. Got to meet some really hard kayakers. It was awesome. Got to meet, just many different people. You get to meet some awesome. I met an awesome droner. I know someone that's a drone racer, and that's cool. That's like crazy too to see like someone stand there with like first person goggles on or whatever, and like just fly a little bitty drone like this big, like and literally fly it within like 3 feet around them. That's awesome. I don't know if anyone. That's another thing I have when I video. So I have my phone. I have about 3 or 4, three GoPro 3s, Hero 3s, which I should probably get rid of. They kind of suck. But then I have a new Hero 8. I have my iPhone, and then I also have a DJI Mavic drone, which is nice. I would like the newer one that has the zoom capability. So when you fly up, you can actually zoom through the camera itself. So you ain't got to fly closer. Sometimes that works really good when you're river video footaging, because sometimes to fly with the wind factor, it can mess up your drone or whatever. Like it'll totally mess up the drone. Like I've flown before and like I've crashed it too. And if you've never done a drone before with video footage, because this is Crazy Bill TV, this is my media advice today is when you fly a drone, if you've never flown one, you will crash it. You will crash it. Everyone's like, you will. They are right. You will crash your drone. There is no getting away. I've sent 2 back so far. I've sent 2, not 1, 2 back already. So yes, and it's a pain. And I've been on the forums in different groups, and they're like, oh my God, it takes a month. Yes, it takes 4 to 6 weeks to get your drone back. Now, what you don't do, because you don't want to pay for insurance, is what's called the care, DJI Care. And it's like $198. So if you don't pay for the care, they kind of still give you the care. And I think mine's anywhere. I think I paid like, I forget what it is. You pay $99 for the care, and then you pay like another $99 to send it in, or $89. So you should have paid $189. I think I paid like $199 or $210. So you're going to pay like $20-$30 more than what you would have paid for the care anyway. And then I think one other time, I think the second time I paid like $280. Yeah, remember this thing's $1,000 drone. I got mine with 3 batteries. So yeah, all they do is you keep the controller, you keep the batteries, and you just send the physical drone in, and they'll fix it and send it back to you. But yeah, again, like I said, with the drone, with the media stuff, with the drone, also with the drone is, if you're going to buy a drone, you need to invest in the money in a supercharger, because it's a 3 charger if you have 3 batteries, and it only charges 1 battery at a time. So it'll be like, this will take an hour and 10 minutes. This takes an hour, this takes an hour, and this takes an hour. So you're close to looking at like at least 3 hours, if not 3.5 hours, to charge all 3 batteries. But if you get the supercharger, it will charge all 3 at once. So it'll charge them in like, I think it's like 45 minutes to an hour, because it's a supercharger. It might even do a half hour. I'm not for sure. I know it's at least an hour. So you can charge all 3 in an hour, plus your controller It takes a minute too to charge is what's crazy. I know it's a good hour, if not hour and a half also. But the trick is you want to try to have all that charged. And then the reason you want 3 batteries is because if you can keep your charger going, you can keep your controller with your phone charged. Then when the drone dies, you just pull it out of the air, pop a new battery in, and up in the air you go. It says you get 30 minutes per battery. It's more like 22 or 25 minutes with the drone. So yeah, that's what I know with droning. And then, like I said, I was flying on the North Fork at, I think it was Nutcracker, and Scott was there. He's like, "You need to settle down, young man. Man, you're like a kid when you get a drone. You're like, yay! You get it out of the box, and it doesn't work. You're like, no! You spend all this money, and you're like, it doesn't work right out of the box. Guess what you have to do? You have to stop and charge it. Yes, you have to stop and charge it. The first thing out of the box, it has to be all fully charged. And then if you want to film anything, you got to make sure that there's an SD card in it. I mean, I highly, highly recommend if you get a drone, you better watch like 3 to 5 hours of videos while your drone is charging. So, and you'll start out in beginner mode. There's a little thing that says beginner mode, and it keeps you within 90 feet. So when you film with the drone, the reason it keeps you within 90 feet because you don't know what you're doing. You're still figuring out the control sticks. It's like the old Atari controller where you're like, and pushing the button like, oh my God. Maybe some people don't know what an Atari controller is. Some are used to this like high tech, like I don't know. It's like playing a harp. You're like, so, yep. Alrighty. So, again, this is Crazy Bill TV. Subscribe. Like I said, I'm just learning. This is my live challenge to myself. Some of you see me on other platforms all the time. If not, I'm Bill Guyman. So have a good one, everyone.